good afternoon, folks. We've got Chloe, we've got Vital Knieve, we've got Majenko. Everybody, hope you're all well. And hello, Swarm as well. Yes, the bot is definitely not here, thankfully. I have no idea whether Streamlabs is going to cooperate with any cheers this week or today or not. It definitely wasn't on Friday. No idea why, except I saw other people complaining about the same thing. It just wasn't getting notifications from Twitch, so annoying. But hopefully the TTS will behave itself this time. Hello, Phil. How are you doing? Hope you had a good afternoon, and your garage is looking very good, by the way. So nice work there. Well, there we go. Thank you, Majenko, for the 100 test bits there.
Majenko Tech cheered with 100 bits. Only one way to find out.
Excellent. And Chloe, yes, that is indeed the best possible suggestion. Ignore everything, press ahead and see what happens. Friday, so it's not my best effort. I don't know. I was perhaps feeling a little on the grumpy and tired side on Friday, so the LA50 misbehaving itself or being full of mouse turd instead of working electronics was not ideal. But we'll see how we get on with this. So what we have today is the IBM Quietprinter first up. Might have a tea, coffee, it'll go cold. Well, it can't go any colder. It's a iced latte from everybody's favourite American megacorp, obviously. But it was free, so... Hi RF, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. So the IBM Quietprinter here, first up. It's a matrix printer, like a dot matrix, except it uses a fancy ribbon, carbon ribbon with a metallized rear surface, and the head is just a stack of electrodes that stick juicy electrons through the ribbon, and the localized heating transfers the. You can see the backing shows through as silver metallized, so it transfers the carbon to the paper that way. I have no idea what sort of state this cartridge is in. It looks about possibly half used, judging by the state of the take-up window there. So hopefully there's about the same fresh underneath it. But what happens with this thing when you power it up? It looks like it should work. Yeah, it's like the Sinclair Spark printer, Chloe, except it's not shit. Yeah. Presidential music there. It looks large on camera. Is it A3? I don't think so. That's a very good question, though. It might take 132 column paper. One of the problems is I can't find a single manual for it. There are listings on eBay for the manual and the technical reference, and the Centre for Computing History, whichever of the museums is in Cambridge, has one in their collection. I need to send them an email, ask if they'll either scan it or let me pop round with a scanner and do it myself. I can find a manual for the Quietprinter 3, which is a successor model of this. This is the Quietprinter 2, so its product code on the top is 5201-2. The 5201 and the 5201-2 came out at the same time. The 2 just has additional features, and then the Mark 3 is a slightly different design entirely. So we're flying in the dark here, really. There's some grot in there, but mechanically everything seems fine. But when you power it up, it goes through the motions. If you do a self-test, it prints a part of a line, and then it complains that the ribbon's no good. Well, we can see that there is ribbon. The manual for the 3 says that the indication that the ribbon is running out is red backing to it. So if you see a red indicator here, it means that the ribbon is running out. That doesn't look red to me. So I think we're fine on that front. So either there's some issue with the ribbon out sensor, or it's upset about something to do with the head. Yes, thank you, Phil. The Cambridge Centre for Computing History. I always get confused with TN and MOC at Milton Keynes at Bletchley. Thank you, Chloe. I was hoping chat would confirm it doesn't look particularly red. Dopaz, can I find replacement carbon ink media? Yes, you can still find ribbons for these. At least I could on eBay. They turn up for about, I think it was about 15-20 quid, which wasn't too bad. You can also find occasionally more of these, which are the font cartridges. And this is what tipped, or sort of tipped me the wink when I went to pick it up, that it wasn't the Wheelwriter. Shelby thought it was the Wheelwriter printer, which is effectively a Wheelwriter typewriter with the keyboard lopped off. And he'd been after one of those for a long time. So when I turned up and saw it had a font cartridge in it, I realised that the daisy wheels that had been left inside the thing were completely unrelated. So it wasn't what he was after, which is a shame. And by the time I got home, he'd realised this himself. So let's have a quick look at chat. Yes, freakishly tiny hands. Yeah. That's guilty as charged there. And I'll take your easy way to tell if it's red there, Majenko, under advisement. Yeah, the font cartridge is a box with the ROM chip in it, and only 5 contacts, so it must be a serial ROM. I might buy another one. They're available in several flavours. The ones for the printer have a PC suffix because they've got the full CP437, isn't it? Code page in there, at least. Probably have a bit more. The ones for the Quietwriter itself, which is a typewriter, have an A suffix because they only have the key, the glyphs for the keys on the typewriter. The Quietwriter 3 used a different system where it had, they say 4 built-in fonts, but they're just the same font in 10, 12, 16 and proportional pitch. So that's a bit of a swizz, and it's just Courier anyway, so yawn. But you could get a cartridge for that which let you download additional fonts from the PC, which I don't think this one supports. Hiya GPin, and hiya Remdog as well. Hope you're both well. So yeah, we'll plug it in. We'll see what we can figure out. Before we do that, we might take a quick look at the ribbon mechanism here. See if there are any obvious clues as to why it's upset about that. It all looks mechanically quite happy, unlike the Selectric. That, I don't know whether that movement there is damped or just sluggish. I'm going to go with sluggish because it slowed down that time. So it could be that the tensioner there. Yeah, okay. Let me plug in the thing, if I can find the cable. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. What? Oh, the mirror's up. Right, that would explain that. Come on, camera, you can do it. Or maybe you can't do it. Bear with me. Right, busy. So come on, flip the mirror up. Huh. I might have to switch to using one of the newer cameras, you know. Unfortunately, I've got the 6D, which is full frame, which would be better for this lens, and has Wi-Fi, which would be better from a not being tethered to the laptop point of view. But Canon, in their infinite wisdom, have made the webcam utility Wi-Fi support a subscription-only option, and I'm bollocksed if I'm going to pay that. Failed to communicate with camera. It reckons the camera is not plugged in, which is a rum do. Hi RHK, glad you could join us. Hope you're well. Could I not hack it? I could, but on the other hand I couldn't be bothered. It would be easier to, I don't know, just do HDMI capture off the thing. Or bodge it together using window capture of the live shooting option. No, this is having absolutely none of it. Application not responding. Okay, we'll just have to make do with this one. So apologies for wobbly cam, but that was the thing I was poking around with. And when you, that's releasing the ribbon, and then when it's tensioning it, yeah, that looks like it should move a bit better to me, because you have to. Come on. There we go. Sorry for the handheld camera there, that was even worse than the SLR, I'm sure. So what's happening over there? That one moves, that one is definitely sprung, so maybe that's the actual tension arm. No, there's a spring there. Well, let's pull the same trick we pulled with the Selectric. Actually no, let's demonstrate the fault first, so that we can tell whether it's fixed or not. So to do that, we want power first of all. Almost right. That'll do it. And it would help if we put the ribbon in, wouldn't it? So there we go. Sorry for whacking the mic there. And it was one of these buttons, it was the self-test one, I forget which one. Sorry, Carter. Chloe will only have a go at me if we do that. So let's see if it's the stop button for self-test. Right, so that's the same fault we had before. Angry noises and the ribbon light comes on. But it does actually manage to print something. So that is the state. Those are the I think that's the status of the dip switch bank internally. So all off, and then the L is that it's set to low density or low. What's what I'm looking for? Contrast. Something like that. Anyway, so it's mostly alive. The only issue is it's upset about the ribbon for some reason. So we shall take a look at and turn it off. And we'll have a nose around all these gubbins here and see what might be. There must be some sort of sensor there. Let's pop the printhead out first. It should be on a little catch here, because it might be that it's using the printhead. There we go. That's all it's got on the front. I wish the other camera was working. Let's try again. Blank screen. Camera. plug it in. Busy EOS utility. No, it just reckons it's not plugged in. Why does it reckon it's got low battery when it's plugged into the mains? That's ridiculous. Well, okay, we'll try remote shooting. Live view. Right, okay, here we go. What we can do is capture that. Bear with me. This is obviously what happens when you take over and try and do a Shelby replacement service. Window capture of window EOS remote live view. Yeah. And we want to crop that. Properties, filters, no. Transform, isn't it? Transform, edit. Sorry, bear with me. 200. Okay, that'll have to do for the time being. We'll put that there and right. I need to bring up the full screen thing so I can actually judge this. So there's the printhead. It looks a little worn. They are considered a consumable item, unfortunately. I don't know what that bar is, whether that is intended to sense the ribbon or something. And then on the other side we've just got a bit of flex PCB, nothing really to be seeing there. But we'll give it a clean, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen after all? Yeah, it has an error light for a ribbon. It doesn't have an error light for the head, which is a shame, but anyway. Clean that as well. Just give it a quick wipe with some contact cleaner. And I think that bit is our best guess as to where the problem lies at the moment, isn't it? So lack of tension on the ribbon. So we'll do what we did with the Selectric, and we'll jump straight to the WD-40 with this one, rather than faff around with the naphtha, and see. There, that was not what I wanted to do. Well, that's looking actually considerably better. RHK, yes, this is the IBM Quietprinter, which is based around the Quietwriter typewriter innards, just without the keyboard. Last time was the DAC LA50, which is just a bog standard dot matrix. Okay, what's that thing doing? What else could do with a clean in here? Well, there's some just random gunk there, which we might as well attempt to clean off. Yeah, don't bend that, you pellet. That wouldn't end well, would it? See what else we've got. So at least there is very little sign of any rodent infestation here, unlike the LA50, which had far too much mouse turd for my liking in it. Actually, that's not the most intelligent thing I could use as a solvent, is it? WD-40. Where's the bottle of... There it is. I don't imagine that blob there is going to make any difference whatsoever to the functioning of the thing, but we might as well clean it while we're in here. What else? That looks like a capstan arrangement with a grounding. Oh, that'll be what grounds the ribbon then, will it? No, it's got to be direct. Yeah, you can't have the ground on the ribbon as a whole. It's got to just go straight across a tiny area from the electrodes, hasn't it? Okay, that's irrelevant then. Let's see what else we've got. Bit of crud on that lever there. I'll clean up. And we might as well stick a little, if I can find it. If there was obviously meant to be lubrication on there because it had got dirty, then we might as well put some back. Okay. See if that manages to do anything. It wouldn't manage to do anything without a print head, so there we go. See what happens when we snap that back. Okay, it all looks laced up properly, so we need a piece of paper again. That is annoying that that doesn't quite. Oh, that'll do, whatever. Actually, that'll do even better. It does look like it's probably intended to take, if not A3, then at least wide carriage tractor paper. I do have A3 upstairs. We'll check that out in a bit. So let's try again. Right. Okay, we have successfully broken that. It's now doing less than it was before. Coffee, that's the solution. It makes a very slight effort to print something because I can see the sort of L mark there. Ah, hang on. There's some grot on the idler wheel in the ribbon now. That surely can't be relevant though. And let's have a look. Just need to see if there's anything that feels like it should be moving and isn't, or vice versa. Apart from that, that wheel, okay, that's a textured, almost like sandpaper surface on that one. So that presumably is what's supposed to actually pull the. You've got that motor or spindle there, but that presumably is what's actually pulling the ribbon through as it prints, and that's just to take up the slack, and that's a capstan sort of deal there, I presume. So yes, that moves in to pinch the ribbon against this thing. And that does turn. Chloe, yes indeed, we made it worse than before. New subheading. There is a manual advance, it's just you have to use that to take up the slack when you've taken it out of the machine. What happens then is that you get some loose, I can't easily demonstrate it, but it just takes up the slack before installation. So yeah, let's have a quick look at the head, make sure I haven't knackered that somehow again. Comes out there. Looks okay. Give it a quick wipe with some contact cleaner. I want a cleaner cloth than that for this. And similarly on the inside there. Reinstallation, that goes in. Come on. Right. Just need to see if there's anything else obvious we can look at while this is... Carriage moves freely enough, I suppose. I'm not certain. This turns freely enough, but it's relatively stiff, so it doesn't turn anywhere near as freely as any of the other spindles on here. But it's probably because it's got a motor under it, a stepper motor underneath. No, it can't be a stepper, otherwise it'd be locked solid. It must be some sort of motor underneath it, though. Anyway, let's try again. That's well seated. And we can advance the ribbon. Ooh. You can't advance the ribbon when it's installed. That's interesting. Anyway, let's see what happens. That way. Aha! It is fairly quiet, apart from the way it's shaking my kitchen table as it flings the carriage around. Oh, thank you for the 30 bits there, Lopez. I think it just repeats this indefinitely now. So yeah, we'll hit stop in a second. And then it errors out with ribbon again. But that's reasonably nice. Just to get a closer look at it and see. Yeah, it did take a moment to settle in. The first run is vaguely interrupted, so it's got sort of striations at the bottom of the characters. But it gets better as it goes down. So it could just need a bit more thorough cleaning of the printhead connectors. I was a bit gentle on those because obviously they're Effects PCB, and the only manual I've seen for the Mark III says don't touch this, for God's sake, don't touch it. And if you have touched it, buy a new one. But that looks okay. So let's give it a... let me go and grab a parallel cable and we'll see if we can... Oh dear. Back in a second, and we'll see what we can do. Right, sorry about that. Knew I had one somewhere. Well, I knew I had two of them somewhere, but one of them's on the back of the plotter at the moment. Thank you very much for that gifted sub, Swarm.
Has gifted a sub to Philpim.
We can't have Phil watching ads. No, that would be dreadful. So, right. Let's see how well this works. Spoiler alert, I'm not expecting it to work very well at all. There's a reason I've got two of them, and the other one is on the plotter. Even the other one doesn't work hugely well. It's very, very finicky about which order you power things up in. And it goes between the plotter and the NAS, and it just does not like it at all. So, let's plug this in and see if whatever version of macOS this is has a driver for an IBM Quietwriter. It was not Majenko, it was on this bookshelf in the study. Yes, thank you RHK, I did actually find something. Right, what are we looking for? We shall see what macOS makes of that printer. Let me see if I can share that.
RHK77 cheered with 100 bits.
Oh, thank you for the 100 bits, RHK. Most appreciated. Phil, that was a Swarm of Dead Insects, who has been very generous with the subs lately, and it is much appreciated. Everybody who gifted subs on when was it? Was it? No, it was Tuesday, wasn't it? Where we had the hype train that went excitingly well. So we want that one. Use select software. Oh, you can't see the. Let's see what we've got. A lot of Samsung drivers, a lot of Zebra drivers. That's a shame. Okay. Maybe I can. Is there just a generic text only? There is not. Sorry, let's see. Can I add? No. Can I add? That's Windows printers. No. Right, okay, I am going to... Oh, look, another hype train. Whoops. I'm just going to look up whether there are any drivers for this using the phone rather than the laptop, because I've shut Safari down as an experiment before streaming to see if it helped with the stutter we saw last time. I don't think it did. IBM Quietprinter software update, go away.
Majenko Tech cheered with 100 bits. What is this hype train thing that is going on?
Hype train? Yes. We would be very hyped for rain at the moment. It has been baking the last couple of days. It's been baking the last few weeks, but I was out all day yesterday. I went to bed at 11 o'clock, which is almost unheard of for me. Right, I cannot find a Quietprinter driver for macOS. Okay, not to worry. We shall try sending it plain text. It should be able to print that. So we shall feed it some paper. Paper's far too far up, but it'll do for now. And we shall... Why is... There are unsaved changes. Do I want to keep them? What? Okay, fine, whatever. Item. Okay. Tiny little window. LS dev USB. What will it be under? LP something. Oh. USB serial 1420. That's the open interface. Disappointing. Let's have a look at that one. USB 2 hub, i.e. 1284 controller, yeah. From something or other. It looks like it's almost supposed to say prolific, but doesn't. Oh, it does say prolific there. No, I can imagine, Phil. I would not recommend it. Have a more a hype shunted into siding. Yes, thank you, Chloe. That's very apt. Yeah, between Apple's enforced OS upgrade treadmill and Canon's screw you, you're just the customer attitude, I do have several Canon scans that are no longer any use whatsoever. Which is annoying. But what we want to do is find a way of getting bytes into this thing, despite macOS's best efforts. Let's try installing it as an Epson 9 pin. It's not an Epson 9 pin, but it'll at least then hopefully show up as a node somewhere. So connect to that using software. Epson 9 pin. Isn't from the manufacturer, may not let you use all the features of your printer. Well, that's fine, I don't care. Right. So do we now have something in /dev? No. Computers. What are they good for? Absolutely nothing. System 1 does not... No, it wouldn't, because System 1 does not yet have a parallel port. It's on my to-do list. What does have a parallel port, though, is the old Inspiron in the other room, which we were using to test something. So, one moment, I'll go and grab it. Good point, Swarm. Let's have a look. LPR. LP stat. No, all it can see is my printer upstairs. PQ. stat show a status, show everything T. Yes. No, it's not happy. They've obviously done something very wonky. Yeah, the USB to LPT, I'm not sure is a particularly good one anyway. It's given me trouble. Yes, and between cups and that and everything else, getting a stream of bytes from laptop to plotter is more effort than it ever should be. So, yeah, okay, I'm going to fire up Safari. If my stream goes horribly wrong at this point, blame Majenko for reminding me of the port number I was going to look up. It's just bringing up about 20 odd minimized windows. Give it a second. Did I say 20? I might have meant nearer 30. Okay, there's a pretty daily I was looking at yesterday. Come on, computer, you can do it. We have the spinny thingy. Dropped frames 308. I wonder when those were. Well, I can't close the tabs until the thing's running, can I? Come on, use your brains. Cups. Curtle. Oh, interesting. I didn't realise that was disabled by default. So we shall re-enable it. There we go. And we shall also run cups config and see what happens. No, that wasn't useful. It's enable, disable, accept, filter, reject. Cups test PPD. No. Okay. Give me 1 second. I just reinstall the printer because I deleted it because I'm an idiot. Use, select software. Chugga. Apps and 9-pin for want of a better option. Add. Rename to pain in the arse. Right. Okay, what do we want to do? We don't want to use cups test PPD. We want to localhost 631, wasn't it? Sorry, 1 second. 631. Yeah. Resize that and do this and then do this and then do that one. Double check there's nothing in my tab bar that could be incriminating and fire one. So, printers. Q name, whatever, pain in the backside. Right, that one. Connection USB. Ugh. Maintenance. Let's do a print test page for a laugh. It might help if it wasn't still in self-test mode. online. Yeah, it is not. Oh. Right, well, it's done, it's printed something, but it's not a useful something, because obviously it's trying to print Epson graphics on something that does not speak Epson graphics. But at least it's receiving something off the parallel port. So let me grab the old laptop that's running ancient crap, and we'll see where we go from there. 1 second. Oops.
A swarm of dead insects cheered with 100 bits. Dude, you got a Dell.
Well, thank you for the 100 bits there, Swarm. Yes, this is the one I bought when I was at university back in, must have been 2002. It still just about works, although since then it has had, I think it's had a new motherboard since then actually, so it thinks it's the wrong sort of thing. So what I want to do is bring up, bear with me, that one. Now we'll see what happens when we apply power. Right. What do you reckon our best bet is here? An ancient version of Ubuntu or Windows XP? I'm going to go with Ubuntu actually. Oh, this isn't going to work very well, because it's only got one USB port and I'm using it to power the VGA cable. Where might I have a Centronics cable? And I have fixed the God, the mouse on this is a bit. I have fixed the U key since we last saw this. I'm just wondering where there might be a hub that is. The hubs that are hooked up here are both USB-C. Whoosh. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Let me just unplug the VGA capture from that in case that was making it unhappy for some reason. I do apologise, Majenko. That was, and anybody else, that was not entirely expected, as you can tell. Ben26, hi there. Probably Windows installer. Depends what version of Windows you're talking about. If it's Windows 11, I would be suspecting CPU, because Windows 11 has requirements on CPU generation. I don't remember what they are, except that they're apparently causing consternation. If it's not that, then it could be that it's Windows is upgrade only or something. Otherwise, yeah, I out of ideas, I'm afraid. Modern stuff is not my forte. I tend to buy off the shelf. Hi there, Daft Punky. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Yeah, that would, yes, lack of TPM would definitely cause Windows 11 to throw a fit. This is now stuffed, so let me enforce power down. And while that reboots, I'll look for a hub. I think there's one in the back of the oscilloscope. Aha. A hub. Yes, you could also take Majenko's advice, but then you would be an Arch user, by the way, which is something you could certainly aim to be if you wanted. Let's see what happens. Right, we've got this far again. See if we can log in. I realise you can't see that. That's because I haven't got the capture plugged in. I want to get. Shut up! What on earth? That's approximately 3 million times louder than I usually allow it to be. So. Function mute. Right, there we go. And we want that in there. What can we do here? And the hub powers down a couple of seconds after being plugged in. This is bizarre. Okay. Let's try pulling that power from this hub. could not set monitor configuration. Okay, we're not getting video capture off this thing, I'm afraid, folks. We'll just try getting it off the... we'll just plug the printer straight in and see what happens. And in fact, I'll pop this on the network. System, no, accessories, terminal, there we go. Fig through grep 168. Okay, and we want to share that one. Yes. There we go. So, ls/dev star lp star. Excellent, we have an LP0. Oh, we have a USB LP0 more importantly, because there's a built-in port on the not AL pillock. Okay, so let's try remembering bash is a pain in the backside. USB LP0, permission denied. Oh, root, okay. Okay, oh, we were offline, which won't help. Let's kill the power there. Unplug the USB. Power back up. Okay, now we're online and we should be able to do this. Hello world, yes, excellent. Just see what sort of files I have lurking in this home directory. That's fine. ls/dev USB LP0. Oh no! No. We need dip switch settings. So it worked. It's just it needs carriage return and line feed. Usually there's a dip switch setting to insert those automatically. But yeah, that is lovely quality print actually. I like that. That's very nice. So we've got one thing left to try, which came up earlier. which is this, if I can free myself from under the laptop. A sheet of A3 paper oh, it takes that quite happily, so you could, if you were insane, try and print it landscape, maybe just about, but there we go. So let's try, we'll bring back up the terminal like so, and we shall do an echo it's -e, isn't it, for to interpret sorry, printf to dev USB LP0, turn it back online. There we go. So hang on, let's have a think. Do I have Unix to DOS installed? Excellent. So if we did an ls through Unix to DOS to dev USB LP0, oh, now we're getting now ls is printing it in a single quality, in a single quality, single column, because I'm sending it not to the terminal. So we need, there should be something to overwrite that, shouldn't there, or to override that. Yep. But now we're getting double spaced output, which is peculiar. Does Unix to DOS convert both CR and LF to a CR-LF pair? That would be very strange. Let's try printf. Here comes a CR. Here comes an LF. Here comes a special boy. To dev USB 0. One for the Philippe fans there, and we'll see what it does. Okay, so carriage return is treated by the printer as a CRLF. So carriage return becomes a CRLF pair. It is a proper new line. Line feed is treated as just a line feed. Okay, so that's something. Uh-oh. Yeah. ls-1. Well, no. It was doing that. The up here, it was. The -1 was implied, and I wanted to get the -c to get the columns. So the only thing what we want to do left to do is to see if we can set this up with a filter to do actual graphical stuff. So let me have a fiddle around in the system administration printing. Yeah, we'll see if there is a Quietprinter driver available for this Ubuntu. If not, then I'll reboot it into XP and we'll see what's in there. So new printer. Okay. Searching for printers, it says, and it makes the printer beep and do something. Yeah, Phil, it is actually I believe the Quietwriter was originally a typewriter, and then this is it's known as both the Quietwriter and the Quietprinter, or more fully the Quietwriter printer, and it is just the mechanism out of the Quietprinter 5, I think. Oh, sorry, the Quietwriter 5 uses the same consumables, very, very similar font cartridges. I don't know what its actual resolution is. We'll try and look that up in a bit. And we want to printer connected to the parallel port. Does this not have a parallel port on the back? It does. So why is it not offering me? There, USB LP0. Right, search for a printer driver. IBM forward. Ooh. No, we have jet printer. Info print, those are all fancy new things. Pro Printer 2 is not fancy and new, but so no, it looks like the Fumatic installation on here doesn't come with anything that would be particularly useful. That's a shame. I'm going to reboot it into XP and we'll see if that comes with any suitable drivers. Restart. No, I still can't use the come on, brain. Yeah, still can't use the VGA capture because there still won't be a power source. Authentication required to shut down when other users are logged in. Okay, fine. There we go. I don't remember why there is a copy of Commander Keen on this machine, actually. It might have been because I was... Yes, I do. It's because when I got an EGA monitor, I wanted to test it out on the Amstrad PC 1640, considering I'd never been able to run Commander Keen on it before. And the easiest way to get it onto there was to fire up this machine running the... Oh God, what's it called? Mars NetWare emulator. And then I could boot the NetWare client on the 1640 and pull the file across that way. Because that was easier than finding the floppy disk with it on, which is somewhere in a box full of floppy disks. Let me just boot XP and see what happens. Fire and lightning, eternal damnation, etc. I'm just having a glance at chat there. Okay, Windows is starting up. I'm very pleased this thing is working. It could be a fun printer to have for... well, it's only really good for... as you observed, the quality is very nice. and it is really only good for that sort of level of typewriter quality output, because you'll notice what it doesn't have is any form of tractor feed. There was an add-on tractor feed unit, but IBM boast in their marketing literature that unlike everybody else's tractor feed unit, which just clips on the back and basically has some, excuse me, has that been in my print queue since 2011? uh, 10/16/58, 9th of, I don't know whether that's the 2nd of September or the 9th of February 2011. Okay, well at least we know it does print text only from Windows, so let's try and give it an actual proper driver next. What was I saying? I was saying something. Yeah, so most printers, the tractor feed is just sort of a system of cogs or whatever driven off the... What's wrong with my tripod mount? Sorry for camera shakiness there, folks. That'll do. That won't. There we go. Instead of just being a purely mechanical device, they boast that it has its own CPU and intelligence, making it better than everybody else's. As far as I can tell, the only thing it's better at is costing money and therefore making profit for IBM. I found references to a tractor feed and an automatic sheet feed, both of which are optional extras, both of which have intelligence built in that plug into a 14-pin Centronics port around the back. So yeah, that's pretty irritating. I don't think I'll find one of those. So it's going to be no use whatsoever for general dot matrix type output. That the LA50, for instance, might be good for. Let me disable that printer. Oh, add printer. There we go. It's only really good for actual letter quality output, which is a shame, because I don't want to have to feed page after page into it by hand. But still, nice to have. And we'll see what its graphics output is like in a minute, hopefully. Local printer, do not automatically detect it. That's going to be an absolute pain. Use the following port, USB. I have USB 0 and USB 2 showing up. That's not going to help. So let's just change the driver on the existing one, because we know that printed to the right place. Device settings. New driver, there we go. IBM. Oh, we've got lots and lots of IBM drivers here, but are any of them Pro Printer, Quiet? No. There is the Quietwriter 5204 and the Quietwriter 3. And this is a Quietwriter 2. That's a shame. Let's just have a look. See if it's lurking anywhere else. ExecJet Graphics Info Print. Oh, it's compatible with the IBM graphics printer, so let's try that. Pro Printer Quietwriter. Oh, it's Quietwriter 5204, Quietwriter 3. Okay, well let's try Quietwriter 3 quickly and see what happens. Okay. The 2C is a nice machine, Willie Can. And hello, by the way. I like mine. I bought it because I was missing my Apple IIe that I had many years ago, and it was given away. Former next door neighbour gave it to me, and then when we upgraded our home PC to a 486, it was definitely surplus requirements. But I don't think it. I think whoever it went to probably didn't appreciate it. But anyway, print test page. Let's see what happens. How can we hit start? Oh, that's the generic text-only output from the previous effort. And now what does it do? Document failed to print. That's a new one. Printer. Pause printing, cancel. Restart job. Let's see what happens. Error, print. No, it doesn't like this driver, I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a colour dot matrix. But I don't imagine they're economical to run these days. Cancel all documents, yes. Can I... Properties. Print test page. Right, printing. Let's see what happens. No, it's not liking this, is it? Okay, delete. Yes. I will change that printer driver to be the IBM graphics printer, which is going to be lower quality than it's capable of, but it will at least give us some indication of what we've got. Delete printer entirely, yes. Add printer. Generic IBM graphics 9-pin wide, that'll do. And let's see what happens. Finish. Document failed to print. Rude. Let's try. Printer, cancel all documents. No, okay, that's weird. Okay, well, anyway. I'll just let that shut down because it obviously the printer is absolutely fine. We just don't have the correct drivers for it, which is understandable considering its age. I shall dig further and we can play with that on another occasion perhaps and see how wide it can actually print when it puts its mind to it. But in the meantime, let me get rid of all of this stuff out of the way and we can move on to looking at the plotter. Oops. Right, plotter. Sorry, that was unbecoming of me. So, what do we have here? We have a front panel covered in knobs and buttons, which is always good. RHK, it's possibility. If I can find the proper command set for it. So this is not a plotter in the sense of a thing you would hook up to a computer and send HPGL or something to. It's a plotter in the sense that you feed it voltages through these ports at the side, set of banana jacks, and it plots you a nice chart of voltage over either time or XY depending, so this is style stuff. So what we have are 0-point adjustments for X and Y, sensitivity adjustments, so we have over here, no, this one is sweep speed in millimeters per second or minute, or sensitivity for X and Y in volts to the 100 millimeters. So from 10 millivolts to the 100 millimeters to 100 volts. So it looks like you can feed it some beefy signals. Hang on, let me just catch up. Hi there, Redshift. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Yes, pretty much an analog data logger. What I don't know is whether it supports continuous roll operation. So in other words, whether there is some drive mechanism here somewhere to pull paper through it, or whether it can only plot on, I believe, A5 paper is what it's designed to take. Yes, RHK, Lizaju would appear to be an option if we had a dual channel function generator. I don't have one to hand, unfortunately. I have a single channel in the scope, which is why the scope is lurking in the back of shot. And I have another one somewhere which is unfortunately kaput. For the moment, it needs a new output amplifier. Let me just have a quick look. Yes, indeed, Swarm. If I had a Euro or Synth, which I do not, and I'm not going to go anywhere near the concept of building one of those, because that would be a rabbit hole and a half to go down. Remdog, opposite problem to the desktop I was talking about earlier. Remind me. Quite possibly. So what else do we have up here? We have the on-off switch, which is always a good start. We have buttons for X1, X2 are presumably selecting something, but what? I presume some sort of range, because I've got X1, X2 there, and what? No, hang on. X1, X2 here. Unless it's X is in multiply. No someone said too many smarts. Yes, indeed. I think this is remarkably dumb. Pen lifter, which is always good. And we have sweep and chart modes. So chart YT start, stop and advance. Sweep, run, XY and reset. So anyway, on a lot of these your guesses are as good as mine. For each of X and Y we have 3 banana jacks. Earth at the top, low and then high. And I don't know whether that's low and high sensitivity, impedance, or whether those are inverting and non-inverting inputs for a differential input. So yeah, what's the? Let me just have a look and see what the sweep speeds we have are. The slowest is. No, the fastest sweep speed is 50 millimeters a second. So it depends on the bandwidth of the thing, I suppose. Because if you get, I don't know, 50 millimeters. Reading the manual, not an option. No, unfortunately, I have not been able to find anything about this apart from a press release which mentions it exists, but was actually a press release about the release of the bigger version. This is the PL5 recorder from JJ Instruments. They seem to have gone through all sorts of names. JJ Instruments, JJ Lloyd, J and J, all at the same address down in Southampton, I think. This is the PL5, named because it will plot on A5 sheets of paper, I believe. The PL4 was obviously Route 2 bigger, and could plot on A4. The press release I've seen was quoted in a South African journal of test gear, or electronics magazine or something. So it was all in Afrikaans and I had to try and translate it. So exciting. This appears to be thoroughly wedged. Whether it's just locked in place, I noticed looking at it from this angle there's a lever here, but oh yeah, there we go. If we lift that, okay, that moves, so that's good. And the pen, there's the pen holder there. Oh, it's threaded. Okay, that makes life easier. I wasn't sure what you put in that, but if it's got an internal thread on it, it'll be a lot easier to turn a collar of some sort to fit a biro or something to it. But anyway, we can power it up and see that it runs, which is good, but we just don't know how to make it do anything. So let's have a poke around and see what happens. We need the power cable that I pulled out of the back of the IBM. Off, yep. So it springs to life and makes noises, and I think, yeah, turning the 0 adjust knob for Y makes that move, so this is a good start. I have no idea what the noises it's making are. Let's try pressing buttons. Okay, the pen lifter works. And there's a change in tone when I press this X1, X2 button. So I wonder if that's actually in sweep mode somehow, and changing the sweep speed will make that noise change. Not appreciably. Okay, X sensitivity is doing nothing. Ooh. And that's Y sensitivity I'm turning there, and that is making it make angry noises. So that is its highest possible sensitivity, which is 10 millivolts, moving it 100 millimeters. So you can actually see it is moving there in response to random fluctuations. I imagine it's picking up over here. Okay, let's fire up the oscilloscope. Let's bring the oscilloscope screen capture back up, actually. Hello, oscilloscope. Applying power to the oscilloscope might be useful, mightn't it? So we'll bring up the... Oh, I need to change this to... No, that should be correct. There we go. Yes, indeed, RF. That will just be changing the amplification, driving the Y motor. So what we want to do here is press... there's a wave jump button. There it is. And we don't want to feed it a 1 kilohertz sine wave. That would be pretty useless. So... Oh, there we go. 100 millihertz should be a pretty useful sine wave to feed it at. Let's try 1 volt peak to peak. And we want this one. And we want some banana jacks for that, don't we? Where are the banana jacks hiding? No. I dug out some banana jacks earlier just for... Aha! There we go. So I suspect we'll want ground there on the Y, yep, to ground there. And do we reckon we want to connect this to low or high? Let's try high. Okay, I didn't like that. Aha! There we go. So it is a differential input. We need to be applying a signal across the high and low terminals, and that is getting us a sine wave at we've got to set it at 100 millihertz, obviously, for you can't see. So that's good. Now we want to work out the x-axis. So let's try just putting the same thing over there. Oops. And we'll set the same settings. So 1 volt. No, that's the chart speed. This is the X sensitivity, 1 volt. Okay, fine. So let's actually make it 4 volts just to reduce the amplitude a bit in case this goes horribly wrong. In fact, we'll chicken out to make it 10. And what do we reckon we need to set here? XY mode, so that out. Chart stop, pen lift. Yep, okay, let's see what happens if we turn that on. Right, okay, YT start. It's doing something. Okay, so we haven't worked that out yet. Okay, let's see if we can find out how to. Sorry, 1 second. Apple is just. The laptop took it upon itself to start playing music in my ear there for reasons unknown. Yeah, not much by way of music of noise. Let's see if we can find the time charting option. So millimeters per second. So that's set to 1 millimeter per second. Let's try 10. And then sweep that one in. Run. Start. Oh. Well, that's made it angry about something. I wonder if it needs paper. So, sheet of A4. I don't have any A5 on me. So, fold that in half. What time is it? 8 o'clock. Not too bad. And let's see, if we pop the paper through, there's a thing over here. Let's see what this does. Oh, it does feed the paper through. So in sweep mode it expects a continuous roll feed. Well, that's unhappy. That's caught on something. That's mangled the end of that. Does the locking system release the automatic? Well, you would expect it to be automatic, wouldn't you? You wouldn't expect to have to reach into the guts of the thing and press a lever that is barely visible from outside. We'll turn sweep mode off. And we'll try... Aha, right, so that's So advance just makes that. Right, okay. 2 holes on the oh, there and there. Yes, that's a fair point. I mean, it does describe itself as the PL5 recorder, so chart recorder would seem sensible. But why would they describe it in the press release as being for A4 paper? And why would it have this entire mechanism that is actually free to move like that if it couldn't move that over a single sheet of paper? So let's try that. Okay, it is obviously capable of moving it on its own accord. Let's see, sweep run. Okay, let's feed it that test signal again. And set it to, so YT stop. XY is out. Yeah. Reset and run. Because surely it has, if it's got X and Y inputs, there must be some reason to parameter. It must be capable of plotting the X parameter against the Y parameter, surely. Otherwise, why would you give it both inputs? So obviously we're not understanding how to use it. So advance pushes the paper through. That much is good. YT is automatic advance. So that's good, because that set the rate there over here. If we double that rate, and if we set that down to something like that, 1 millimeter per second, that should. Yeah, so we have so we should be able to plot a nice sine curve like this if we had a pen that fit it. So the only question is how to make it move in the other axis. Try feeding the same signal to both X and Y. We have a minor issue there in that I only have one. Can't find my spare. There should be at least 2 more banana cables floating around, and I can only find this one, which is annoying. Because logically it must be one of these switches, mustn't it, to change it into chart mode instead of graph mode instead of chart mode. So you've got sweep run. If those are both down, Does it have any more switches? Not I've noticed. Let's stop that. Well, it's a good question. Let's turn it over and have a look. We have power on the back. Nothing here. Voltage selector there. Nothing on that side. Nothing on the back. And nothing on the other side. RF. Yeah, it's a fair point. Let's knock the frequency back down to 100 millihertz. It should, judging by the sensitivity settings, it should be better than that, but power would help. So we've got 1 volt peak to peak at 100 millihertz coming in, so we want 1 volt to 4 volts to the 100 millimeters, so that should be oscillating 25 millimeters over the course of 10 seconds. Chart just the... That's a good question, Jeepin. No, it's just a legend. You can't turn it past there. Let's try a sheet of paper again. That didn't work. Absolute mess, but we'll see if that's got any sort of sensor under there. I was just trying to null out any offset that was in there. Not a push and twist, I don't think so. No. So my only guess at this point is that maybe there is something up with one of these switches, because surely one of them would switch it between the two modes, and it could be the one labelled XY, which doesn't appear to do anything. So maybe we pop the cover off and have a look. How does that sound? I'll have some coffee to fortify myself first. I think you give Majenko's bot's brain too much credit for actual activity there, Chloe. Right, so unplug that. See what we've got in terms of access here. We've got a pair of screws there and there. There. That appears to be it. Okay, let's give it a go. Those come out suspiciously easy, or easily. Someone on the back here as well, okay. No, I don't fancy touching those actually. Let's have a look. What else do we have? Oops. There are a couple of... Oh, there are some on the top cover here. That might be a better bet. Let me pop these back in the bottom cover so that I don't forget which ones went where. This is not the right bit, is it? It should be Phillips, okay. Oh, it's interesting. The two at the front are all that secures this box of tricks. Is that a plug or a transition header? I think it's an edge connector plug, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I've got some robust looking switches in there. Good quality 10-turn pots by the looks of it for the zero adjust. Tested 14th of August 1987. Mains power switch there, and some adjustment pots on the bottom here. I'm just looking to see if I can make sense of the inputs here. There's a massive coil of wire around the high banana jack on the Y side here. So I wonder if that's just a 50 ohm I'm not sure I understand that. We'll have a look at that in more detail in a second. what I want to do is try and work out how to disconnect the mains power, which comes in over here. Okay, let's see what we can do. That was not ideal. Hey, your batch sticker didn't survive? So that was what those screws were holding in. Okay. Huh. Oops, that's the guts of it falling out. So there's another screw there, which is irrelevant at the moment. It must be those two. Those two hold the bottom case in, not the top section. This is weird. Jeepin, yes, you're quite right. It does seem a bit that way. Batch sticker didn't survive. Did that come off? Where did that go? Oh, it was over there, wasn't it? Well, we shall reattach it if I find it. For the time being. There's nothing much back there apart from the mechanics, so we don't really... Let's reattach that. There and apply power again. Well, it still works. And that steel plate can be reinstalled easily enough from outside, that's fine. And that's that moving, so No, it just... Oh, hello. I think we've got a dirty pot or something there. So what do we got it set to? 4 volts and run. Okay. So is that running at a predetermined speed or... Yes. So let's line it up to 60 on the top there, and it's set to 10 millimeters a second and see what happens. Okay, so maybe you do have to manually release it if you want to put it in sweep. No, sorry, if you want to plot on a piece of paper rather than a roll. So the only thing that's left to do is to figure out how to make it actually work with an X input. Oh, that's on set to sweep, so that's set to XY, run. Aha! So let's offset it a bit like that. Okie doke, and if we bring up the so we can alter that frequency if I grab the right knob. Okay, so it might just be a question of getting some contact cleaner into all those knobs and pots underneath it. Okay, so press that one back in to get sweep, run. Lock it down that end by the looks of it to get to... Hang on. And then that's in continuous roll mode. Okay. So all the buttons appear to do something now, which is good. It just took a bit of getting there. So yeah, let's try... No, actually, before we do that, let's put it in XY mode. Reset. Come on. There we go. So maybe you do have to actually physically lift that catch at the back. But what I want to do is just check this pot for smoothness across its range. Yeah, it was unhappy the first time we got it up to the top extent of that travel, but yeah, there's a dead spot I think near the end. And then we'll do the same on the Y. Check that it moves smoothly through the extent of its travel. There's a lot of dead space at the bottom end there. Let's whack the sensitivity round. Oh, that wasn't happy. Let's short out the... Come on. Yes, I get the feeling this has sat for a long time, and as a result the pots have horrible dead spots on them. Oh, okay, that's moving smoothly enough when it's in a spot it likes, so okay. That's all good. What time is it? It's 20 past 8. Just have a think about what we want to do next. Is it worth, do we think? Let me unlock the power before I do something very stupid. Is it worth attacking all these gubbins with some contact cleaner, or do we assume that they are mostly working and therefore better left undisturbed? I don't think we can get into the pots. Actually, they look like they're sealed. Oh, I don't see how you get the top panel off to release them anyway. What do we have there? The switches are those open wafer? Could be. Let's see if I can convince the close-up camera to work again. On tertiary. Aha, there we go. So we've got a pile of switches of come on, where's they look like they might be reasonably easy to get some contact cleaner into if I can hold the camera steady. The pots, not so much. The board's quite nice down here. Don't know if we can. Then all the ICs are nicely socketed, which is obviously good, should something go horribly wrong. But this is what I was curious about. These are the input bananas. This is the one labelled high, low, and then that's ground. So the ground is just chassis ground. And then there's this coil of wire between, I think. I don't know, that looks like it might just be a sort of 50 ohm wire round resistor of some sort between the high and the low inputs. I don't know. Would anybody care to venture a guess? I suppose we could actually check that, couldn't we, by plugging in a meter and seeing what it reads. I'm just trying to see what's at the top of that. Oops. Choke to it could be. Choke or shielding of some sort. Where does... Oh, there we go. Yeah, so the connection to the banana goes up to the top of that, and then the bottom is connected down here to there. Let's measure it. Let's turn off the... No. I wish OBS wouldn't do that. Multimeter. There's a multimeter around here somewhere. It's over there. Oh, it's 1 meg. Majenko, yeah, I did wonder that. I wasn't sure whether it was impedance, sensitivity, but there are sensitivity knobs on it anyway, so it's probably not that. Or differential input. And we found that we got no life outfit when we weren't hooking up to both, so I presumed it was differential. If there's 1 meg across it, that would suggest... Well, actually, let's see whether the low is actually connected to chassis ground or what. And no, there is no connection to chassis ground, so it is just a 1 meg differential input, I think. Because otherwise, where's the return? Yeah, so we'll just double check it's the same on the other axis. Yep, exactly the same. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we understand the wiring there, or at least how we're supposed to wire up to it. I think we have a working plotter. The only trick is that if you wanted it to plot on an A5 sheet, you have to remember to release that catch at the back and do it all by hand. So let's put it all back together. We can do that plate that fell out the back last, I think. So make sure that is... Oh, we were looking for the batch sticker, weren't we? Where's that gone? There it is. Do I have any suitable glue with which to attach it? Okay, thanks for that link, Majenko. Yeah, that makes sense. So it is effectively the inverting and non-inverting inputs to an op-amp, but with a scaling factor applied to the first on the inputs then. So look, roughly speaking, yeah, okay. I think I understand how that would work out in practice. But good to know, good to know. Do I have some unsuitable glue? I probably have lots of unsuitable glue. That lived there, didn't it? I know where I have suitable glue. 3D printer. Back in a second. We have Pritt stick for when the build tack is failing, which it usually does. So that has achieved absolutely nothing. Splendid. There we go. So now Jeepin will be happy at least. Remind me to find a belt before next stream. Right, that can pop back on there. That should go in straight somehow. clicks into place over there, does it? And then it was that and that, so not gone in quite straight. Let's fix that. Looks like it'll do for now. And then we've got these two at the back to do. Two there as well. Where did I put those screws then, folks? There. Oh hell. No, there weren't any there. I hate screws at the bottom of blind holes, or these bloody holes where you can't get them to fall in. Oh, the LA50 is the other one where there's the two that hold the front corners of the top panel on are down the bottom of deep shafts, and it's going to be an absolute pain to get that back on when we finally figure out what's wrong with the thing. But anyway. There we go. So the only thing left to do is get this. Figure out how to reattach this plate at the back there. Well, at least they're not flatheads, Chloe. Yes, a magnetic screwdriver would help quite considerably if I could remember where my magnetising thing was. It's in one of the Vera Advent Calendar kits from somewhere. I shall have to find it. Come on. There we go. That's one. And that's two. Okay, so that clang, that wee stroke I dropped earlier has been corrected at least. We shall reattach power and make sure it still works. Well, this isn't good news. That's still working. That in for sweep. No. Come on, brain. Everything off. We shall try feeding it a signal again. So that's clipping. Oh, that's because it's Y at maximum sensitivity. So if we did that, that's more like it. And we feed it the same signal on X, and I'm sure it was that button that made it. X sensitivity, that's good. It was definitely the, I did break it, yes, it was the unsuitable glue, I'm sure. It might just be that I'm misunderstanding the X offset all the way up here. Why, when we are sending it a 1 volt peak to peak signal, that should have a swing of 100 millimeters. Now we got half that. I wonder if it's this. So just making sure I haven't fouled anything when I reinstalled that plate at the back. I don't think I have, no. Is it blocked? I don't think so. If we do that, no, it's quite happy to move. Through its travel, and if we apply power there, it should home. Yeah. So. We are applying 1 volt peak to peak at 500 millihertz. Well, let's crank that all the way down to 100 millihertz. want offset 0. Well, let's try setting it to an offset of 500 millivolts. So it's now a swing between 0 and 1 volt. And we want it set to XY X1 reset run. So if you press run, it just returns back there. So crank the 0 point all the way up, see what happens. No, it doesn't like that, does it? Put it on XY sweep mode then. Pen lift is still working at least. I wonder if those switches do need cleaning. Hiya Cobb, how are you doing? Hope you've had a good afternoon. Let's have a think. Nothing is moving there. I wonder if it is these switches that are unhappy, because it seems to be acting as if it wants to be in the roll mode, and the sweep button is having no effect whatsoever. Which is where we were earlier. So let's try XY start. Oh, hang on. YT start. Wait, YT start. Does it have its axes backwards? No, it doesn't, because Y is definitely moving the pen. Okay, fine. I don't think we've broken anything serious yet, Cobb. We got the printer running. We couldn't find a driver for it on handy laptops, and yes, this plotter is proving. This plotter is proving a bit recalcitrant. And we did get it to life, and then I took the top off to see if we could figure out why it was being unreliable, and now it's being even less reliable. So, do we no longer have a funky beat printer? No, that is still being as funky and as useless as it was last time. Right, so it doesn't want us to do that at all. Sweep, run. chart. No, we want chart stop. We don't want it to be pulling paper through. We want it to be drawing on paper. Run. Let's try disconnecting the input signal. Maybe that'll work. Nope, still doesn't like that. Now, Jeep, I would point out that we have managed to put it back together. We just have not managed to put it back together in a working fashion. Yeah. So that switch is working because I can hear the motor. And that switch is working. Those switches are currently mystery. Sweep, run, sweep. Let's try 2 millimeters per second, sweep, run. Reset. I am vexed. The X movement worked after I put it in the chattering mode, then you released the lever and turned the X knob. Yes, indeed, RHK. So I think the lever just frees that to move. Down there it's latched because that's where it's trying to draw on a continuous roll. And then you can free it up to move over here. And I fiddled with the X knob. Having pressed, I'm pretty sure it was this one. Because that has... So I think this one, X1, X2, I think is just a scale factor. XY when that's out, sweep when it's in. I think is used when it's not in chart mode. That determines whether it's pulling, whether it's going to be moving across on a time base or based on the input. So we want that on XY. Run and reset, I think only affects the sweep. So reset would push it back to the 0 point of the sweep. This is chart mode. XY start stop and advance. And I think they're working because if you put paper in, then it does stop moving when you hit that one. Pen lift is definitely working, and then that one's just a scale factor, I presume, for Y. Let's feed it some fresh paper. Quite fresh paper. crank that speed up a bit. Right, that is working. And stop does work and advance works. Okay. And that's right at the top of the travel of the pot. So let's feed that a signal again. Okay, I didn't like that very much. What do we set to? X sensitivity 1 volt per 100 millimeters. Let's put it back at right, and now that does nothing as you would expect, and if you press that, that's just moving the paper. Okay, so right, that's important information. The charting mode that moves the roll paper through is entirely independent from what mode the carriage is in. So I can press this. And the paper runs through regardless. So that's interesting. So that's 100 millivolts to the 100 millimeters. And we're feeding it a 1 volt sine, so that should be a meter's movement, and it isn't. That should be moving over 100. Oh, hang on. Yes, I think the suggestion that I've knackered something back here might be correct, because it just isn't wanting to move past that point, is it? Let's see what happens if I change the offset on the oscilloscope output. Yeah. Come on, back to 500. So let's... I don't think it is fouling anything in particular. try that. Okay, let me finish my coffee and have a think. We are now out of coffee, so it can only get worse from here on in, folks. Do I take that off again and see if there's anything I've obviously screwed up? That all looks okay. That's the screws I reinstalled back there. Let's try. Let's try slackening those off. Ooh, blimey. Nearly dropped that on the floor. That would have been unfortunate. Yeah. That's wrong with the X0. Yeah, either that or the sensitivity. Maybe we attack those with the contact cleaner and see what happens. Let's give it a go. Before I do that, I just want to tighten these screws up so they don't cause us any further panic. So it was these two screws at the front should be all that needs to come out to pull up the electronic module, or the input module anyway. No, or not actually. It's the two at the bottom of the come on, where's the other one gone? There. Let's have a look. So that's the X position pot That's the X sensitivity switch. Big one. Let's have a look. Actually, let's try this one. Oops. What's all that? Oh, that's a commoning block for Earth, isn't it? Okay, fair enough. That looked vaguely suspicious. So we've got that's the sensitivity switch, and there's the pot. I don't think we're going to be able to get any cleaner into the pot, but we could try putting some in there and wiping it back and forth, perhaps, see what happens. Let's have a look at other connections on this board. They all look okay. Switches back here again. Might be able to get some cleaner into those if we thought they were the problem, but I don't think they are, to be honest. And then we've got these calibration pots here, but it's not entirely clear what they're for. I think we shall not touch those unless we have to. Are you causing trouble again, Cobb? Let's stick some cleaner into that switch and see what happens. Okay, and what else? Can we get a meter onto the pot and see if we can get a reading off that? I don't know whether you can read that, but we'll see if we can get a... No. That pot is reading as open circuit. Now it's probably because I can't get good access to the connectors rather than the pot being at fault, but where does it go? There's a ferrite bead on it, which is interesting. That's reading as 500 megohm, which I'm sure is not. Let's try this one for comparison. Similarly open. Okay, that's no good. Yes, they're 10-tone pots, RHK. Let's see if we can make out linear plus or minus 0.25%. Oh, 20k. Does it say who they're from? I can't make it out. Okay, so there's the wiper. Let's try that again. So from there to that we can't see. Let's try this one. Ah, 4K, 5K, okay, right. $12, $13. 19675. .7. Okay, so those look. That one looks like it's working at least. What else could we check while we're in here? Not a busting lot, to be honest. Let's reconnect that. What's fouling this from going back down properly? Power, where's the power cable gone? So I will short out the inputs. Hmm. Now that's being even worse than before. This is proving to be a theme here, isn't it, folks? Oh, that's interesting. Hmm. Maybe this edge connector needs some... Yes, Cop, that is indeed the theme. I shouldn't take things apart. It never ends well, does it? What else do we have here? That was all... Not bent anything? Doesn't look like it. I don't like the fact that there's what appears to be a blob of hot glue on some jumpers over here. What on earth is that?
RHK77 cheered with 100 bits. Can you find the other ends of the wires from the pots and deoxit these connectors too?
RHA, thank you for the 100 bits. Possibly. I shall give it a go in a second. I don't know. I'm going to choose to ignore that. So we want to find the other ends of these. And they go into this wiring harness. And it's all a bit of a mess. There's some more down here. Looks like a solid job. Yeah, apart from that, it's transparent. I think. Let's have a look. Could be actually. Carrot House, that sounds like an absolute tragedy. Our thoughts are with you at this difficult time. I hate breaking a nail. They are all colour coded. Well, yes, okay. Let's have a look. We want the pot is this one. So we need this one here, whatever that is, and that one there, I think. Well, let's try following them. They go into this bundle here. I don't see any stripes on that one. It's a solid grey or green. And that comes along here to this, I think. So there's one of them. No, where are we there? I was going to say the far one of those two is one connection to that pot, but now I'm second guessing myself. Because while I will readily agree that yes, they are all colour coded, let's have a think. Grey, green, blue, green, and blue. Brown, green, and blue, green. Oh bloody hell! Right, okay. So that's grey, green then. Well, okay, let's give this a go. No, that's not. That's on there good and proper. Oh, I see, they're both on the same one as well, which won't help. And that's got a blob of something on it as well. Weird. No. Well, whatever the hell's going on there, it doesn't just slide off. I'll tell you that for nothing. Farts. I think they might actually be soldered on. But anyway, what were the other colours? Brown, green, and blue, green. Well, we have there. I think is blue, green. Hang on, let me. I think that one. He says, having scrolled up the chat. Oh no! Sorry, I've lost my bearings. There we are. But no, I don't like how hard I'm having to pull on that and it's not moving. Unfortunate. Oh, and so the middle one is the other one that we. Brown, green, and blue, green. Oh, okay. I'm obviously not. Well, whatever colours they are, I can't easily remove them from what they're connected to. So they look like there's 0.1 inch pin headers, but they're crimped on something chronic. Okay, let's. Well, while we're in here, we'll be daft and just oh no. That looks a bit chowdered up, but it was just a drop of cleaner. Yeah, I must admit I'm running a bit short on the old idea front here as well. Is there anything back here that might be interfering? No, there's nothing sticking out or anything. so that's fine. Hmm. Let's hit that switch again while we're in here. Maybe I got something in the wrong place or something earlier. What's that? Where does that go? Oh, that's just the input. Okay. Which means we might have been pinching that earlier and we reinstalled it. Okay, that's not good news, but we'll... pop that there. That back on there. Well, that was extremely not happy. Progress is being made. I don't like the way that connector was free to wobble when it should be. It's obviously not keyed as well as it could be. Make sure that's tucked up there. Okay. This is good news. So we shall attach a... There we go. So what should we have? We should have 1 volt peak to peak, 1 hertz, and it's going between, well, there's 0, so we've zeroed it at 100 mil and we've got it set to 4 volts to 100 mil, so it should be a 25 millimeter peak to peak swing on this now. So it should go basically between there and there, or between there and there, whichever it prefers, I suppose. Right, so let's try increasing the amplitude 4-fold. We'll set the 0 point down here to 20 mil, so it should swing between there and here. Okay, it's a bit over. So it just dropped it down to 100 millihertz and it bottoms out there. That's interesting. There's 10. Interesting. I wonder if there's a factor of 2 at play here somewhere. Let's try setting. No, it rams straight into that end stop, doesn't it? So that should be a 1 inch or a 25 mil. We are getting. Let's try and line that up on 10 at the bottom, not quite. At least it's alive again. I think the problem there was poor connection. The edge connector thing that actually runs off to the mechanism itself looked a bit dodgy. Wasn't seated as well as it could be. So yeah, we're going from just over 10 to about 40. So yeah, that amplitude is correct. So let's change our settings on the scope. So first of all, let's bring up the interface so you can see what I'm doing. We'll set the offset back to 0. Whoops. And the amplitude we'll leave at 1 volt. High impedance output is correct, I think, because we were measuring 1 meg across that input. And we'll bring it up so that it's bottoming out at around. Well, let's put it back on the 1 volt. We'll see if we can set the bottom end to 0, and then we'll see how far up the scale it's getting. Right, there's about 0. And it goes up to about 105 mil, so that's not far out. It looks like it's within 10%. Yeah, 0. Okay, it's running 5% too wide, so that could be the oscilloscope. Not entirely sure, but this is good progress. So what we need to test this out properly is another signal source, which I don't have to hand, and a pen that we can screw into that pen holder, which I also don't have to hand. Just thinking whether I can cobble something together quickly or not. Possibly. Let's I didn't like that. Why does the Sorry, I just noticed my monitor back here blinked out when I turned the power off. Anyway, we'll put those screws back in the bottom, and then I'll have a look and see if I can find some sort of pen to stick through that hole and see what happens. So we want, hang on, where have I put the screws? I've put 2 screws here. one screw. Well, farts. Hang on, what's up there? That did not like. Is that the wrong screw? Where's the biting point? There it is. No. And there should be one more screw around here somewhere. If anybody spots it, do sing out. Oh dear. Well, I'm sure it'll turn up when I'm tidying up. So what I want to do quickly is just nip upstairs and grab a plotter pen. So I shall be back in 1 second. Oh ye of little faith, I have boxes full of plotter pens and they sit behind the plotter. But there is one of them. The only problem is these are short HP style pens. There's no way that they're not threaded or anything, so it's just going to sit in there and we'll see what happens. The answer is probably going to be absolutely nothing of interest. But before we do that, I want to just slit some paper in half. Come on. is that some sort of... You would expect it to be a flap for holding paper down, and it sort of is, so excellent. We shall put a pen up first. And power. And why are we now back to this nonsense? Okay, that's a wooden pencil could be jammable. It could be jam a crayon in there. Well, I don't have any crayons. That being the other problem there. And we're now back to this behaviour where it isn't actually moving. And that's now... I think... It can't have been putting the screws back in that breaks it, can it? Well, anyway, let's try it on roll mode. And so we'll feed it signals on XY instead. And move that so that we're getting a nice sweep in the middle somewhere. It's still bottoming out. So what have we got this set to? Should be seeing about, so between about there and there. Yep. So we'll set it to chart mode instead of there's obviously some trick to how this all goes back together that I have managed to knacker up. Okay, so we'll set it to, I don't know, 10 millimeters a second. We'll pop a pen in it and see what happens. Lift down. needs something a bit more weighty than that. Well, it's sort of working. No. The paper feed is obviously a bit knackered. I don't know whether there is supposed to be... There's this bar and there are some two cogs sticking up from underneath it, and you can see that they gouge their way through the paper here. There we go. So there we go, the world's best sine wave, folks. Drawn by wobbly pen and wobbly plotter in wonky paper. Yes, exactly. RHK. It's not the best, is it? I mean, bits of it. This slope here looks very nice, and then it just goes a bit skew-whiff when the pen falls over. So what we need to do is first work out how the thing is supposed to go back together more reliably, and secondly, make some sort of sleeve. So I think we just need a tube with an external thread on it and a set screw or grub screw to hold something upright. Just a pencil, probably. Need some blue tack. Might work. I don't like using the Sharpie is a bit too wobbly. But there you go. That's the machining project, design and machining project, and it's 10 to 10. So I think we shall not get into that right now. Oops. Look over here and see. Yeah, that's not happy. I think putting the screws in the bottom is pinching a wire, perhaps. I mean, the pot could just be dreadful. It's a possibility. But I think I need better light and better eyes before I can go anywhere near the wiring harness and figure that out. But it is doing something. And doing something is better than doing nothing. Hang on, let me catch up on chat. Cobb, yes, hang on, we have the world's best ever period of a sine wave there. As you can see, there are no faults whatsoever with this setup. And proper instrumentation grade bullshit. So yeah, I think we're going to call it there. I know we're about 10 minutes early. Why did that make noise happen? Oh, because yes, right, fine. Let's have a quick think. Majenko, I'm presuming it is far too late for you to want to dive into any gaming. Oh no, it's because it's at 10 o'clock, so that's fine. So we won't hand over to Majenko. We shall switch back to this camera. There we go. Hello. Um, so we got the nonsense printer. Why stop pointing in that direction? Stupid camera. We got the Quietprinter to print quietly, and it produces some very nice looking output. What we need to do now is find drivers for it, so that we can do something more exciting with it, either find or write. I could do with finding the manual for it as well, which would certainly help with the command set. The one I found is for a later one, which is different resolution. So that's something to play with in the future. This plotter, I'll take this back apart in a few. Well, no, I'll have dinner and then I'll take this back apart and see if I can see any obvious cock-ups there. But it's working, and it's better than not working. So we made some progress. Let's have a think. Tuesday evening, 9:30. Back on the RC 2014. I think we'll do the Wi-Fi module. As I said on Friday, I want to find some firmware for it to let that work as a Wi-Fi modem, to allow it to connect out to BBSs, etc., which might be fun. And then next Friday, I think we'll be back on System 1. I want to make some improvements to the 4th. So better error reporting stroke handling is a must. Because as we saw when I was trying to program live, a typo completely cocks stuff up, which is not what we want. So we'll try and improve that, and we'll try and implement the hook to allow us to write a keyboard driver that actually integrates with the 4th. So that's the next plan for System 1, which is for this coming Friday. After that, I have no idea. There's still one module of RC 2014 to do to round out Pride Month, fittingly. And then next Friday, absolutely no idea what we'll do then. But in the meantime, thank you everybody for joining me for this this unexpected Shelby replacement service. I hope it was vaguely entertaining. We got some stuff done, so I'm happy with it, even if it's not as working as it could be. But yeah, I thought it was reasonable for a Sunday afternoon last minute thrown together thing. So thanks all for joining me. Thanks for the bits and the cheers and all the rest of it, and the gift subs and so on and so forth, and I shall catch you next time.